Why does it always rain on me? Who else loves running in the rain like? Singing in the rain, singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. Just wanna be with you. Now then gang, welcome to sunny northeast England, where the weather has most definitely turned to autumn and the temperatures have dropped. It's just lush. Drop a comment below if you love running in the rain. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about why motivation alone is not a good strategy for achieving your goals in running. Motivation is short-lived often. Often motivation comes at the beginning of a task and can fizzle out over time. So it's okay to get us going. We might have a big plan, big enthusiasm, get motivated for something, and then most people find 2-3 weeks in to something, motivation runs out and they either stop, change the plan, something happens, gets in the way, and they stop. As a therapist, this is what I see week in, week out. So I get people coming to me in therapy. Normally, people are really motivated to make changes in life. We get stuck, repeating the same behaviours, the same patterns, same things, going round and round. And for all that really motivated and really want to make change in their life, they find it particularly difficult. So I'm going to give you a few key ways to not only use motivation, but to be better than just using motivation, and hopefully get some longer term results in your running and more broadly in your life. So stay tuned for that. Having a nice walking break, getting back to the long distance stuff. Hip hip. What would be the first thing? The first thing you should do to get better results than just using motivation is that you should create goals that are specific to where you want to go. Now, most of us create the end goal, but we don't necessarily pen in and create the goals in between. Now, as humans, we like small rewards often. Not very good at thinking about the bigger picture. Okay? I'll have you consider that people will smoke their entire life because they can't fathom the long term of getting cancer from smoking. It's there, it's a niggle, but as humans we're particularly good at ignoring the long term or dismissing it or thinking that we'll be fine when we get there. We're much better at creating small goals regularly. So for example, if you wanted to run marathon distance and that was your next goal coming up, I know a lot of people that have joined the channel have just done their first Great North Run. So if you want to get up that marathon distance, it's about chunking it up and having 2 or 3 small weekly goals that you can tick off along the way and reward yourself for. And that's the key thing here, is you really want to reward yourself for doing and getting those key milestones. Yeah, so that's the first thing, is create smaller goals to go with your big goals. The second thing that I would be doing to combat motivation fatigue, if you want to call it that, is to create accountability outside of yourself. So normally most people will hold themselves to account up to a point, but if it's in secret, it's much easier to let yourself down and just say, you know, can't do that session today, don't really want to do that thing. So make yourself accountable to other people. So at the beginning of this year, I said to myself, I'm not going to drink alcohol for the full year. I want to improve my health, get better at running, lose a bit of weight. But creating accountability on my own for that, tried a couple of times previous and it didn't work. So I told my daughter that I wasn't drinking for a year, and I made that promise to her. Now, that for me, I would find it much harder to break that level of accountability to her than I would to going and having a drink. And the same with running. When I ran 100 miles back in January of this year at the Lady Anne's Way Ultra, a couple of days after having COVID, go check that vlog out, I'd let people know that I was going to run 100 miles. I'm off to run 100 miles. And more importantly, I told people that I care about. So not necessarily people on social media, but that can be a good platform. I do it here on YouTube, create some accountability here. But the people that mean a lot to us in my life, I told them that I was doing it. And that creates leverage. That creates accountability and leverage to get me up on a morning and get me doing the things that I'm going to do. So those are your first two things. The next thing I'd be doing is I'd be creating a peer group around that goal, around the thing that I want to do, around the thing that I'm motivated about. I'd be finding a peer group. Now, get plenty of Facebook groups associated with different types of running. I've got myself plunked in a couple of Bob Graham groups, a couple of ultra running groups, a couple of trails groups, and those are good. Give yourself some perspective about what other people are doing, but just up your levels of accountability again. You know, you surround yourself with people who go to the pub every day, you're going to inevitably end up going to the pub. You surround yourself with people who run ultra marathons every day, so you're going to be out running more. And that's a really easy way to stay on top of motivation, is to find yourself a peer group. Now, it's cross-country season at the minute, and so now that the Great North Run's done, now that the Great North Run is done, and quite a few of you will be looking for the next challenge, or maybe you're a trail runner on this channel and you're not associated with the club yet, I would get involved in a club. I've been with the Black Hill Bounders probably since I was about 17-year-old, and I don't engage in much of the weekday runs, but I do try and get along to some of the bigger social runs. I try and get out on the occasional weekend one, and when it comes round to races, there's nearly always one or two people from the club who are there. And so I'd say it's key to having a little family or a little group that you can kind of get behind and will get behind you. That will help when you don't have any motivation to get out. Vloggers rarely do like front. I do rarely do front to face like this though. It's always to the side. Getting that big nose in. So, no idea what I was going to say next. Another way to combat motivation is to just do more stuff. Do more of the stuff that you like. You know, if you're spending half your time battling trying to find motivation to do something, chances are you aren't that interested in it. So, like for me today, zero motivation required to get out on the trails. I mean, I am just wandering about, like, not much effort has been expended physically either. But like, think about it. If you're spending all your time trying to get motivated for a certain type of exercise, is that exercise for you? Or would you be better off putting your energy into something else? You know, I would argue that 9 times out of 10, if you have to really drag yourself to do something exercise wise, there's probably a way that you could do it, get the same results in a different way that you might enjoy more. You know, consider doing more of the stuff you like, and then you don't need as much motivation. How about that? The other thing that I do to keep motivation at times when mine's dropping is I measure backwards. So as people, we're quite good at trying to predict the future, see where we might be if we do something. I like to keep a little note in a journal, fairly intermittently to be honest. I'm not a daily journaler, but certainly a couple of days a week, pen something down, and then when I'm low on motivation for a goal, I can scroll back 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month, or in the case of not drinking this year, scroll back 9 months and read some of my entries, how I was feeling, why I was doing what I was doing, why I set the goals that I was setting, and remind myself of why it's important to me. So yeah, that's one of the other ways that I stay motivated. Oh man. One way I love to stay motivated is I love to lash me legs with nettles out on the trails. Nice wet stingy nettles. Gets us all motivated inside. So that's it. It's the way to stay motivated. I have made it to my destination for today, which is Pontock Pike Trig Point. Look at that bloody lovely thing, nice and white. All the elements of a good trig. No view, apart from if you look through there. Let's have a look. If you look through there and you really look, you'll see absolutely nothing. So yeah, that's the vlog for today. I'm going to get back to doing some running because I've done more walking than is advisable for even an ultra runner such as myself. And let me know what you think. Do you try and use motivation and it runs out? What are your top tops for dirty fly? What are your top tips for staying on top of being motivated and achieving your goals? Do let me know down in the comments. I do actually enjoy going through the comments and getting a few ribs from people. So even if you just want to get in the comments to have a bit of a go, all comments are good comments, bring them on. But yeah, let me know if you're feeling motivated at the minute. Are you getting out? Do you want any more top tips like this? Oh man, if you're feeling unmotivated, just go run down a nice trail. It will inspire you. Get back to some nature. Anyway, you lovely people, I shall endeavour to see you all on the next one. Have a good week. Ta-ta.